We might get around to the Toronto Blue Jays with our next guest, Gregg Zaun. Maybe not. 16 years in the majors, World Series champion of the Florida Marlins down here. Zauny looking very regal, joining us from the throne. What's up today, GZ?
Well, not much. Just grinding away. Just finished my first year coaching pro ball, and kind of it's that time of year where the player development programs, they start looking for new instructors and managers. And my new goal in life is to manage a big league team, and I know I got to stop along the way and kind of catch my groove in the minor leagues, managing clubs, and that's what I'm looking for right now. I'm trying to find a job managing minor league baseball. Just like I said, I just finished my first year in pro ball up in the Pioneer League, and it was fun, and it kind of got the juices flowing again. My first time on the field since I retired, so it was very rewarding. The kids were great; they got better. I think we ended up like 14 games over 500 for the season, so that was pretty good. That's what I'm doing right now. Just kind of unemployed and trying to find a gig and multiple gigs, whatever. Just living the life.
Well, you entrepreneur sounds a lot better than unemployed. You're joking, of course. I know. Well, you are and you aren't. Yeah.
It does, but the reality of it is Donnie ain't got no job.
Well, listen,
I closed down Gregg Zaun Incorporated a few years ago when I left Canada. So we're not actively trying to build that 200-acre tournament and showcase facility in Canada. And when I left, it was kind of a bad time in the world with the pandemic going on, and nobody really wanted to spend $800 million on baseball fields. So I had to kind of walk away and pivot and find something new.
Yeah, you will always survive because you are a winner. And speaking of that, didn't surprise me your ball club did well this year, but your Instagram account is private, so I appreciate you accepting me to follow. And it just looks like you had a riot up there in the northern United States and Pacific Northwest. All of it.
Yeah.
What did you love about it really, aside from the baseball?
Yeah, the baseball was unbelievable. I mean, the Kelly family put together a $40 million facility. It's the nicest minor league facility I've seen, short of a major league spring training complex. They've got all the gadgets, the bells and the whistles, all turf field. You look out the right field vista, and it's the Glacier National Park. And a lot of the clips that I was posting during the summertime was just my view from the front seat of the bus. Just breathtaking. Mountains, rivers, streams, lakes, nature. I was living on top of Big Mountain, which is one of the best ski hills in Montana. And every day driving up and down the mountain, I'd see elk, deer, fox, coyotes. There was rumored to be a mountain lion up there, bears. I mean, just at peace and out there in nature and loving every minute of it. It was a blast.
Well, I love following it, so I don't know if anybody else said it to you. Thanks for posting that stuff, because I really enjoyed following it. To the MLB, if you don't mind, Aaron Boone got tossed for a 33rd time since he's been the skipper of the Yankees last night. I would assume he's going to be fired this year because they had a terrible season, but what is it with this guy? It's his 6th time this season.
Well, I mean, frustration boiling over. I mean, I played against Aaron. I played against his brother. I know his dad. That's a competitive family. I mean, it's a 3-generation big league family. Ray Boone, the grandfather, was a big leaguer. Bob, 2 brothers. They want to win. And, there's an enormous amount of pressure there in New York. And, things aren't going well. And, sometimes a manager needs to, get tossed, so to speak, to stick up for his players. To voice his frustration over bad calls, going against the ball club. Sometimes it's just one of those things where it makes absolutely no sense to get tossed other than to light a fire under your club, to kind of let them know that you've had enough without actually going into the clubhouse and telling them, I've had enough. It depends on, how much they know about you as a man. But it seems childish to most people, but there is a method to the madness in most cases. There's a reason for it. And, I don't blame Aaron for being frustrated with the performance of the Yankees this year. But, at the end of the day, look at the philosophy, look at the organizational direction. Obviously, he'll probably be the guy that falls on the sword at the end of the year, but how much of it is really his fault? Because we don't know what kind of conversations are happening in his office when nobody else is in the stadium. We don't know how many times he's been summoned to Brian Cashman's office to discuss something. We don't know whether or not Aaron Boone is really managing that ball club or it's the analytics department, and like it is in some places. So it's very difficult to know what is actually going on behind the scenes. But there are a lot of managers out there who will be the good soldier and fall on the sword when things don't go as expected and they want to protect their job. They want to protect the front office. The kind of the way Kevin Cash did when he had absolutely no choice but to pull, Ian Snell in that game against the Dodgers. Everybody in baseball that didn't have, a degree from the Ivy League knew that Snell was dominating and he should have stayed in that ball game. But that 6-inch binder, that Kevin Cash has to walk around with told him what to do. And by golly, he's going to follow it because he wants to keep his job and he wants to keep his bosses happy. As a collective, they made a decision. They formulated a path. The guy at the end of the rope, like Kevin Cash or Aaron Boone, we don't know what's going on there. So, I mean, a lot of times these guys are just being good soldiers, being good employees, and doing what they're told.
More teams running their teams off analytics or less? Is it 50-50, 60-40? What would you say?
I'd say it's higher than 60-40. I think there are some teams out there that are hybrids, and I think there are more teams coming back to a more practical, more baseball-centric experience, baseball-centric type of situation. I think you're going to see a bit of a renaissance here coming up where guys like me who understand the analytics, who understand the tools, the tech tools that can be utilized in the most wonderful ways to evaluate and make players better. I experienced it for the first time this summer. You need a cross section. You can't all be numbers, and it can't all be, blood and guts, old school baseball guys with leather necks. It has to be a combination of both. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I think the analytics guys belong in the cubicle right outside, the corner office of the baseball guys or the president who is the business guy. They can't be the ones that are driving the bus because there are a lot of things that these computer gadgets can't measure. Can't measure heart, can't measure determination, can't measure a lot of these innate things, these intangibles. And a lot of times these intangibles are the difference maker between winning and losing, championship and also ran. Do I believe in the analytics? Do I believe in the tech gadgets? Absolutely. I think they're wonderful tools. I think they should be utilized, but they should be utilized by guys who understand them, who also have practical baseball experience like I do. I think the right word is analogy. I can take my pickup truck and I can fill it with the best tools that Home Depot can sell me and drive it down to a job site. But if skilled workers don't show up to put the tools in their hands, nothing's going to get built. And I think that applies to baseball now more than ever.
I love it, and that's why you're the best baseball analyst in the business. There's no doubt. Not telling you anything that you don't know. But that's like when our analytics people give us the ratings. We're up here, we're down there, this is the demographics. I'm like, thank you, but this is what we're going to do. Thanks for the info, but I'll decide where we're going, right? And baseball is the exact same way.
Well, yeah, and you if you're the president of a team, if you're the owner of a ball club, you agree on a path, or at least you say that you want to go in this direction. And I'll be the first to admit, you go back to the Moneyball, Billy Bean days. Billy had no choice. He had to think outside the box at one point or another with that tiny payroll. Figure out a way to find value where nobody else is looking at it so you can pay it less and afford to have it in your lineup. I got it. I totally get it. But it didn't win. The formula is great minor league farm system, sprinkle in some free agents at the opportune times. And honestly, when those things happen, your payroll is going to skyrocket because good players are expensive. It's like, do you want a first year model Chevrolet or do you want a proven S500 Mercedes Benz? Plain and simple. You know what you're getting when you spend the extra money for the S500. But that first year model, new type of Chevrolet, you don't know what you're getting. It might look great on the outside. It might purr like a kitten, but hey, it may not get the job done, and you might have a bunch of recalls. So, it is what it is, and that it hasn't changed. It's not going to change. But do I applaud Major League Baseball and the teams for trying to think outside the box and look in a different direction? Sure do. And you know what the analytics have done for baseball? It's opened up a whole new demographic of baseball fan. The guy that never played, who loves numbers, who was fascinated with the game of baseball because of the numbers, now he's a super fan. Whereas before, you get some Neanderthal like me pounding his chest going, hit and run, hit the cutoff man, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't make any sense to them because they never played. Now they can look at the analytics, they can look at spin rates and vertical drops and all these other stuff and have a blast doing it. Guys like me, we know. I don't care about your spin rate if you can't throw the fastball where you want it to go, because you're not going to get anybody out. If you can't pick up the routine ground ball and throw it to first base, we're not going to win. If you can't hit behind the runner, if you can't put the ball in play with runners in scoring position, I don't care what your exit velocity is. You're not going to win. So there are certain things that we can use and point to in order to evaluate players on how much do we want to pay them. Do we want to grab that guy in a free agent market? Do we want to draft him? Sure, we can look at all those things, but you can't measure this and you can't measure this. And so those are things that we get back to as an industry. And I like to include myself in the industry still because I care. But I think all the new tech and the analytics married with old school baseball could make the game the greatest it's ever been.
Voila. Gregg, call me sometime. Great seeing you. Keep in touch.
You betcha. My pleasure, Roddy. Always a pleasure.
World Series champion, all-around great guy, Gregg Zaun.